what's up, guys? Welcome to the Big Effects channel. It's another day, right, guys? I'm kind of like, very excited, I shouldn't kind of like be like, that kind of excited, but it's something I really I do on a normal basis, right? If you guys have been following, my channel, you guys can see that with my previous video, I was like, with the unemployment rate, I'm expecting it to be worse than expected, or as expected, and as expected was what 5.1, and worse than expected should be 5.2 above. And guess what, guys? It was what worse than expected, right? It rose to 5.2. The unemployment rate, because as I said earlier, from the data we're getting from the GDP, dropping, you kind of like, if the GDP is dropping, it should kind of like ring a bell, right? It's kind of ring a bell. And since the interest rates were kind of like dropped, by 0.25%, the unemployment rate didn't drop. It's kind of like stayed static where it was like still. So the following month, which was this month February, it's kind of like we're expecting the GDP to kind of like increase, but it kind of also like came out negatively. There, like the numbers came out negatively. So if the GDP is so like negative, meaning like the country's price of goods and services within that like year, month, it's falling. That should tell you that unemployment is affecting like the market. Like generally you have to break it down into kind of like sectors, and like input them so they can get like the bigger picture, which I did. And I realized that now unemployment rate is going to be what negative, or just as expected. And if you are having unemployment to be negative, then inflation is going to be falling, right? That's what I'm anticipating. Inflation is going to be dropping, because unemployment is rising, and yeah, the GDP is dropping. So yes, inflation might also as well be kind of like drop. Let's see how it goes. That'll be tomorrow. I'll be sharing my screen with you guys. Enough of the long talk, and be sharing with you what went down today, what happened in the market. Very nice, like nice setup. Some missed, by what's all good. I'll be sharing my screen with you guys. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. So anytime I drop a new video, you get updated. Right? Let's get into the chat. Alright, guys, this is my GBPJPY screen. Right here, this is my GBPJPY screen. You guys can see the what. Uh, just when the news was released, you had this move. This massive drop to the downside. Right? As I already told you guys, I was kind of like anticipating this, right? We had this massive move to the downside. We had what a pullback to this zone, this area of interest, right? Which kind of like took it down, right? To the market, down to kind of like this point, and started kind of like pulling back, right? So this was the move when the fundamental unemployment rate and employment change was released, right? We had this sudden drop to the downside, and the markets later reversed, pulled back to this area of interest, right? And still continue to push to the downside, right? As I told you guys, right? We missed out on this sell, right? I couldn't catch this sell, guys. I missed out on it. I was kind of like very skeptical about this trade. Would have been a very, 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 very nice trade, right? Upon seeing this bullish engulfing, nice bullish engulfing, right? And having a stop loss, somewhere here, because guys, if you're having this kind of like confirmation, that's enough to tell you that nah, bro, the market is heading straight to what your kind of like TP, right? You would have able to catch one. I think one is to 2.5, right? If we're even targeting 1 is to 3, the market should have reversed on us, but it's all good, right? Sometimes you just have to kind of like take the little that you get out of the table. It's not about clearing everything always. Sometimes you kind of like don't get like everything, right? So yeah, this is what we missed out on, but it's all good. It's all good, right? This GBPJPY. So right now, let's see what the following day has for us. You have what inflation coming next, right? Let's see what it has for us. And this is with UJ, right? This is with UJ, guys. This is with UJ. UJ, I wasn't kind of like anticipating that much because kind of like looked very messy, guys. It looked very messy, you know. I was kind of like anticipating a sell, at this point, right? Because you had this area of interest here, right? And and kind of like I don't keep a lot of stuff for my chat to kind of like reduce noise, right? We had this zone here. If I extend it to to the left, you're gonna see that we have some zones, some tabs on it, right? So here I was expecting as market pulled back to this area, I was expecting some sales to the downside, but here the market will sell rallied all the way to the upside, right? Which makes sense too, which makes a lot of sense, right? Makes a lot of sense uh in as much as we kind of like had this to be like in a downtrend, right? But the market also was doing a thing at this point, right? Kind of like break this area of interest to the downside, break the above it again, and retest the zone and went to the upside, right? So yeah, down to USD JPY, we were kind of like anticipating it. We didn't call any setup on it, right? So let's see how kind of like the next day kind of like provides itself. You're not rushing it, right? Anything that comes, you go with it, right? All right, so there you guys had it. You guys saw it for yourself what went down, right? I kind of like saw the GBPJPY drop, which was missed, right? It was missed by it was kind of like also happened for a reason because guys, I would have been targeting somewhere one is to three or above, right? Or have been kind of like aiming that low and price reversing at this point, right? It's kind of like a miracle in some way though, right? But yeah, it's still like a nice trade you could have caught, taking some money off the table, right? But it's all good, Let's see what tomorrow holds for us. Hopefully, we'll be able to catch some nice, perfect setups, quality setups, right? With GBPJPY. And you guys saw USDJPY, that rocket to the sky, giving us that retest on back to the area of interest, bouncing off it, and jumping off to the sky. Right, it was kind of like a nice thing to watch, witness, and learn at the same time. Right, as I said, let's see what the market provides us with tomorrow, right? USDJPY has kind of like be kind of like catchy, ranging. So I don't want to kind of like throw more light on it because with these markets you sometimes be like get caught off guard, because it's kind of like ranging, right? So you have to have that kind of like structural market. You guys saw it with GBPJPY, it's kind of like moving down and just give us that pullback and drop, right? So yes, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. Inflation rate tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. So anytime I drop a new video, you get updated. And yes, it's been love since day one. I really appreciate your support, your love, you watching to the end. Right? I really appreciate it. Peace out. Until we meet again.